Welcome to lesson 4 of our machine learning and AI class. This course is super powerful. This course will make you an ML engineer, will make you an AI engineer, will make you a data scientist, will make you a data analyst at the top level with machine learning skills. If you study the Google Advanced Data Analytics professional course, you realize that machine learning is part of it. This means that data analysts are supposed to upgrade. Very soon, if you don't have machine learning skills, you are going to be left behind. So whether you are a data analyst or data scientist, you need to get acquainted with machine learning. And in this course here, we are taking machine learning from the fundamentals up into deep learning and large language models. So follow this course and follow everything we are teaching here, and you will never regret it. So welcome once again. Welcome once again. And I have a short motivation for you. It says that your life only gets better when you get better. Your life only gets better when you get better. You are not better because of the things you possess. You are better because of the quality of your life, the version of life you have reached, the version of yourself you have reached. You have to be better. There is version 2 of you, there's version 3 of you, there's version 4 of you. See how computers are upgraded. That same way, you have different upgrades. So I want you to be better and better and better. If they take all your properties away, trust me, you can be wealthy again. You can be rich again. You can be prosperous again. You can be successful again. Why? Because you are better. You are the success. You are the wealth. Your wealth is not in the things you have. Your wealth is in you yourself. So let them take everything away from you, but you can build again. So let's learn and let's get ourselves better. This is myself, and happy to yes, happy to see you in class. It's been 10 years in this journey and 1 year for Rita Africa. And today we are going to take lesson 4 of our machine learning course. If you have missed any of the lessons, please go back. They are self-explanatory. You will understand all that we've done. Go and follow lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, and this is lesson 4. And in lesson 4, we are talking about the machine learning workflow. The machine learning workflow. Please type that in the chat for me if you can hear me. Please type that in the chat for me. Type that in the chat for me. The machine learning workflow. Let me see the first person to type the machine learning workflow. Norbert, great to see you. It's been a while. Marasi, great to see you. Marasi is already acting like a senior student already. Yes, thank you, Marasi. Thank you for the efforts. Great to see you active every day. Yes, the machine learning workflow. So as we have studied about the types of machine learning, and we are acquainted with the basics of AI, machine learning, deep learning, the types of machine learning. Now we want to take a global picture of the end-to-end machine learning process so that we understand the step-by-step process of building a machine learning model. This will make it very easy and make it understandable for us to tackle each step in our learning journey. So as we are learning, wherever we get to, we know the step we have taken and we know the level we are in the machine learning end-to-end process. So this is a very, very important lesson. And just like the types of machine learning that we had in 2 sessions, I'm going to break this into 2 sessions so that in the first session, we look at half of it, of the workflow, and understand the workflow. And in the second half, we complete it and top it up with a model that goes through the process. This will make the learning fun, make it understandable, and will move us forward. So I want you to pay a lot of attention to this and make sure you understand this lesson. By the end of this lesson, and the next one, you'll be able to describe the end-to-end process of a machine learning project. Just like a true ML practitioner, just like a true AI engineer, you'll be able to describe the end-to-end process of a machine learning project, and you know how to identify key stages in the ML workflow. Understand the purpose of each stage, along with the typical tools used, and explain the difference between training, testing, and validating a machine learning model. This is going to be fun, and I want you to truly pay attention, take notes if you can, and I'll urge you to do that and follow the steps. Our goal here at Rita Africa is to become the leading data analytics and data science team in Africa within the next 3 to 6 months by building a strong foundation in data skills, mastering cutting-edge techniques, leveraging innovative tools, and leading Africa's AI research and development to drive success across various industries on the continent. As I keep reading this, very soon you'll see it aligning and becoming real and becoming true. Just watch out. The machine learning workflow, step by step. The machine learning workflow. So in this lesson, we are going to look at how machine learning is done by experts. The process a machine learning project needs to go through. And this will help us know how to learn and where we are in our learning journey. Machine learning is not just about writing code or training models. It is a complete process. Machine learning is not about just writing code or training a model. Machine learning is a complete process involving 7 core stages. Please type that in the chat for me. 7 core stages. So machine learning is a complete process involving 7 core stages. Thank you, Marasi. Thank you, Nkuleko. Thank you, Timothy. Thank you, Norbert, Sheila, David. Thank you, Rob Lee, Lois, Newman, and Darlington Okoka. All right. So in this particular lesson and the next one, we will complete the 7 processes, the 7 core stages that makes up the complete process of a machine learning project. 7 core stages that guide every step from need identification and raw data to model deployment and ongoing monitoring. So by the time you complete your model, it needs to move to a stage that is referred to as model deployment, where the model is added to a real-world application that users and the world can interact with it. What is the purpose of building a model that no one can use? What is the purpose of spending time building a model that only you know how to use? Your model needs to be deployed. Please say that your model needs to be deployed. Please type that in the chat for me. Your model needs to be deployed. Your model needs to be deployed. And you can change it to say, my model needs to be deployed. Wow. Wow, Marasi. You are good. Thank you, Marasi. My model needs to be deployed. Yes. Your model needs to be deployed. And after your model is deployed, there is still a let me just use the term post-production process of ongoing monitoring to monitor its performance, to improve upon it, to retrain it and make it better. When ChatGPT was released, if we had stayed at GPT 3.5, I don't think we would still be happy because GPT 3.5 was very problematic. We had a lot of issues with it. But OpenAI did not sit down. OpenAI did not stop it. They kept on training it, improving it, monitoring it, and now they have GPT 4.5. All right, they have GPT 4.5. Today, we signed up for GPT 4.5 in this office, and the moment we were done with the payments, GPT 4.5 said, let me write something about Darlington. And then he wrote something about me. So that is what was posted on LinkedIn. It was just generated by the GPT 4.5. And I was surprised. I said, wow, nobody engineered it, nobody wrote it. The moment we were done with the payment, it said, let me tell you something about Darlington. And then it just wrote it. And we just copied it and it was posted on LinkedIn. And Bernadine has not commented, so we are not happy. We are not happy. And I hope she will do that. It was so powerful. And very soon they'll be announcing GPT 5.0. Yes. So your model will go through various stages, and after deployment, it will still be monitored and improved upon. It is going to be very, very powerful if we actually take time and look at the various steps in the machine learning workflow. And it'll help us learn well. It'll help us learn the right way, and it will help us to grow. So step one is called need identification and problem definition. By the time we are done with all the 7 steps, you are going to see machine learning as a professional in a different way, in a different light, and it will help you understand so many things. So step one is need identification and problem definition. So I want you to type need identification in the chat for me. Type need identification, need identification. So let's spend some time and think about this step. Because before you build a machine learning model, the machine learning model needs to meet a need. It needs to solve a problem. It needs to fix a real life problem or real world problem. So the first step in building a machine learning solution is need identification. This means understanding why we need to build the model in the first place. Later, I mentioned to you that we'll be taking a course called Business Analytics, where we'll be able to apply our technical skills into the business environment. And the problems or the needs come from companies, come from businesses, and as ML practitioners and data scientists and data analysts, we need to know the process and how to engineer a machine learning model the right way. So the first step is to understand the real world need or the business goal of the machine learning model. This is where it begins. This is where model development begins. Let's take an example. Let's say a car dealership wants to make accurate pricing decisions for used cars. So this is a problem the company is having. They want to make accurate pricing decisions for their used cars. They've noticed that some cars sit unsold for weeks, while others sell too quickly, possibly below market value. So the company has a problem and they want to fix this. Now, can this particular problem be fixed by machine learning? They need a smarter way to price each car based on facts or data rather than relying on assumptions. So this is a problem, and this is a real world problem that a company may have. Maybe it is not this problem. Maybe it's about a different problem that machine learning can be a solution, a modern solution. And so you, as a trained practitioner, can see this problem and implement your skills to solve it with AI. Instead of the company struggling to find solutions to this problem, you can actually solve it with machine learning. This need identification stage usually comes from the company goals or the stakeholders in the business, the pain points in their operations, ideas from teams or business leaders. And your role is to observe, listen, ask questions, and identify where machine learning can help. Now, when you become a professional in data analytics and data science, you will start seeing the world in a different light. You will start seeing things differently. You are going to start identifying a lot of problems in companies that you can use data to solve. And some of you are going to start data analytics companies where companies will consult you to use data analytics to solve their problems. Some of you will set up companies and you advertise data and AI solutions and machine learning solutions, and companies, big companies will flock to you for you to use your machine learning and data analytics skills to solve their business problems. Every company, most companies, especially big companies, need this skill. They require professionals like this. Some people would like to hire their own, and others would like to source companies. And so you can start a data company and provide solutions to banks, to top companies, oil and gas companies, to schools. Look at the number of schools that will need your services. Once the advertisement is clear, once the advertisement is laid out clearly, there are a lot of companies who need data analytics solutions and machine learning solutions. Companies who understand it. And through clear advertisements, companies will start seeing that they need this skill to solve their problems. So at this particular stage, yours is to observe and find out how machine learning can help solve this particular need. In this same step, you have to define the problem. So please type problem definition. Type problem definition. So step one is need identification and problem definition, because when you step in, you need to follow an end-to-end process to produce results. So you, as the ML practitioner, need to identify the need, understand the need, and define the problem. So the first step is for you to define the problem. You need to define the problem. Once the need is clear and you understand it, all right, you know, when they bring a consultant, when they bring an expert and they explain their problem, the expert understands the problem and knows how to help. So once you understand a company's problem, you know how to help. And the next step is for you to define the problem. This means there is a stage where you clearly take notes or you clearly write down the problem and define the specific problem we are here to solve. Now, the problem here is build a model that predicts the price of a car based on features like mileage, age, and brand. So this is your problem definition. After you understand it, so we are looking at the machine learning process. So for you, your first stage or your first step after understanding the problem is to write it down. This is both the problem and the solution and what you are going to do about it to solve the problem. So build a machine learning model that predicts the price of a used car based on features like mileage, age, and brand. So for you, as a professional, you have to be very technical to know what and what to write. First, you didn't say classify, you said predict. That is a very technical keyword. Number two, you understand that you are dealing with used cars because that is the problem the company has. And for used cars, you as a professional, you need to understand that your model needs some inputs to be able to predict. And so we will need inputs like the mileage of the car, the age of the car, and the brand. Now, if you are buying a used car, are these important questions that you will ask if you know about cars? Anybody who understands about cars, are these important questions you will ask about used cars? These are not brand new cars. Used cars, are these important questions you will ask? Probably says yes. V says yes. These are important questions. We want to know the mileage. How long has it been used? You can see the mileage. Then the age of the car, if the car is 20 years old, it's a different ball game altogether, and the brand. Now, as an ML practitioner, you understand that you need to use these inputs to train your model. So you define the problem clearly with all the technical details. This means defining what the input will be, just like I said, features such as mileage, age, and brand. Not only that, you also need to define the outputs. After this model is built, what is going to be the output? A predicted price of the car. So you can see how technical this is. You have to take note of this. So you can have a worksheet or you can have a form that allows you to write down the needs assessment and problem definition stage. What you need to take note of. We also have to take note of the output that our model will produce. Then you also have to ask yourself, what type of machine learning task are we dealing with? Because based on the problem, you will know the machine learning task. And as we go through the course, we will learn about various machine learning tasks. For this particular task, I want to ask anyone who understands or is following well, what kind of machine learning task do you think we are dealing with right now? I want to see if anyone can know the task we are dealing with. We've done something like this before. So what kind of task? Okay, thank you, Anozi. Anozi says this is a regression task. So as an ML practitioner, you will know that this is a regression task because we are predicting a number. So you can see that by defining the problem, you understand the type of task. Now, knowing the machine learning tasks, will that help you to choose the right algorithm when you get there? Will the machine learning task help you choose the right algorithm? Robly says yes, and Ozzy says yes. Now, who can choose an algorithm for this? We've not gotten to that stage, but who can choose an algorithm to solve this? Knowing this is a regression task, what algorithm are we going to use? Bernardine has written it already, but who can tell me, yes, we are going to use linear regression. Let's clap for Bernardine and let's clap for all of you. Let's put our hands together. This is wonderful. So by clearly defining the machine learning tasks, identifying it at this stage, when you get to that level or that step of choosing an algorithm, you already know the types of algorithm that can help you. After we complete this workflow lesson, we are going to go into algorithms and start seeing different algorithms for different tasks. Next, you need to know how you will measure success. And you measure success using performance metrics like mean absolute error or root mean squared error. All of these we will see in the lessons to come, because we have functions in Python that you can use to check for accuracy. You can use to check for performance. And all of these are functions we are yet to look at. So this is step one. Do you think step one is important? All that we talked about you right now, do you think step one is important? Okay. So Marasi says, yes, it is. Roughly says, very, very. All right. So professionally, machine learning goes through processes. We've identified 7 key processes, and we've talked about the first one. Later, you'll be examined on this to see if you remember the various processes. Once you have these processes, this will become a framework that you use to build a model or a machine learning solution to any problem. And by going through these processes, you will be able to tackle the problem in the right stages and complete the project the right way. Step 2 is data collection. Please type data collection in the chat for me. Data collection. Gathering the right data to solve the problem. So let's look at an ML practitioner, machine learning engineer, data scientist, data analyst. And you have this particular problem. You have understood, you have documented the problem. Now you have to understand that there is another stage of providing the solution, which is just step 2. Step 2 is data. The second step is data collection. After clearly defining the need and the problem, it's time to gather the data to help us solve this problem. Why do we need data? Remember, machine learning is all about learning from data. I don't know if you remember the definition of machine learning. Machine learning is the AI that is done through learning from data. Because data contain a lot of information and solutions, machine learning can use data to solve this problem. Now, this company is having this problem, and probably they don't know that data can solve this problem. As you advance, you are going to see the kind of problems data can solve. And you realize that data can solve a lot of problems. Problems for countries, problems for big companies, problems for continents, problems for organizations, problems for individual lives and your own life. Data can help you solve problems. Data can help you choose your friends. Data can help you even choose your partner. A lot of problems can be solved through data. And machine learning, this AI technique, is all about learning from data. So to solve this problem, we know that we would need data. That is a powerful point. We will need data. Now, data is a fuel that powers any machine learning model. Without the right data, even the best model can't perform well, because machine learning is all about data. And to solve this problem, the data part of the process needs to be taken seriously, because the data is a fuel. This type data is a fuel. Data is the fuel. Data is the fuel. Okay, so can you really help this company solve their problem? The answer is yes, you can. How can you do that? You need data. Now, as you advance and you become an expert, you will know the kind of data you need and how you want the data to look like. You will know how to design the data and how to choose the data you need. And once you get the data stage right, once you are trained to understand the data stage, then the rest becomes very easy because machine learning is all about data. And without data, the model can perform. You can build the model, but it won't work if the data stage is not done right. So data collection means finding and bringing together relevant data that contain the inputs we need, the features, and you have to know the features, that is input, and if available, the outputs needed for your model to learn from. Because if we have the outputs, then we can build a supervised learning model that we will easily train the model with the outputs so that it can easily make predictions. After this lesson, we will find a real world data about this same problem this company is having, and we will take the time and we will solve this problem. Do you want us to solve this particular problem for this company? This same problem, would you want us to solve it? Okay, so Robley says yes, Timothy says yes, Newman says yes, Benedine says yes, so Marasi says yes. Tuleko, Esivami, great to see you, says yes. All right, so we will find the data and we will do this. And then we need to go through all these stages and all these steps. The goal is to collect data that is relevant to the problem definition, that is accurate, complete, and up to date, that has the inputs or the features and the outputs or the target or labels you will use in the training, and has little to no missing or inconsistent values. You see, the data means everything, and the data stage is very, very important. And so we have to make sure that the data stage is done right. Let me tell you, if the data stage is not done right, nothing will work. Nothing will work. The quality of the solution is the data stage. And so you will find that in the real world, when you are working for companies, most of the time will be spent cleaning the data or perfecting the data. Because if the data is not right, everything will fail. So the data needs to be relevant to solve the problem, needs to be accurate, needs to be complete and up to date. It needs to have the variables we need to do the training, and it needs to have little to no inconsistent values. Why do we say even little? We don't even need inconsistent and missing value. We don't need. But why do we say little? We say little because there's another step in the machine learning workflow where we'll come back to the data. Where can we get the data from? We can get it from the company's databases because they may have records of sales, like their CRM system, their sales log, their transaction history. We can get the data we need. The company may not know that this data they are collecting can help, but we can get the data we need. Data can be collected from many, many sources, even including CCTV cameras. As a matter of fact, after analyzing CCTV cameras, you can pick a lot of data from CCTV cameras, a lot of information, a lot. And there are many sources. You can get data from CSV and Excel files. That is data stored in spreadsheets or exported files. You can get data from web scraping, collecting data from websites like car listing sites. You can get data through APIs using public APIs like Twitter or Google Maps. And you can get data through public data sets. Do you know that as data analysts and data scientists, there are public sources for data sets that we can acquire to solve our problems? Do you know that we have public data sets available? Who knows about that? Okay, so Bernadine says, yes, I know. Yes, I know. David says, yes. Now, my next question, which public data set website do you know about? Which public data set website do you know about? Now, before you tell me, do you know that even your country has a data website? For example, Ghana, we have a Ghana data website where you can pick data sets that has been collected by the Ghana Statistical Service, different types of data sets that if it meets your need, you can use to solve your problem. Do you know that your country has, in the US, they have sites dedicated to data sets. And this says we have Kaggle. Kaggle is a powerful source. Our World in Data, Esimami, thank you. Eurostat, thank you, Norbert. And so we have public data sets, open data sets from sources like Kaggle, UCI, or OpenML. As a matter of fact, this same problem we are talking about, we can actually find the data sets on Kaggle. And when it's time to build a model, we will go to Kaggle and find this particular data set. So there are various sources that the data can come from, because in step 2, you need to find the data. Now, important tips when collecting the data, we need to make sure that the data is relevant to the problem we are solving. We've already mentioned that. Avoid collecting unrelated data. It will definitely cause problems. Ensure the data is ethical and legal to use, especially when using personal identifiable information. Try to collect as much clean and label data as possible. And why do we say as much clean? Obviously, we need clean data, but then, like I said, there's another stage where we'll revisit the data to make sure the data is clean. Remember, more data doesn't always mean better. It has to be the right data, because there's something called GIGO. GIGO, please type GIGO. And if you know what it means, tell me what GIGO means. Tell me what GIGO means, if you know what it means. All right, so GIGO, someone says it stands for garbage in and garbage out. So if the data is wrong, no matter what you build, even the best machine learning models will fail and will not work. Even the best machine learning models will fail. And so we, in this data field, we understand the importance of the right data. Not just data, the right data. More data doesn't mean better, but it has to be the right data. So key takeaway, data collection is not just about finding any data. It's about finding the right data that matches your problem and can help your model to learn effectively. So this is a part that you need to engrave in your mind to understand that this is another process and very, very important in the machine learning model projects. A well-collected data set will set the foundation for everything else, because the remaining processes, all the other processes, they will all depend on this particular stage or this step. This data collection stage is typically handled by data engineers. They build pipelines and systems to gather and move data efficiently. So in this particular profession, we have some professionals called data engineers. These data engineers are the same as us, but which role we choose to specialize. If you specialize as a data engineer, your work will be more about building pipelines for collecting data that will be used by data scientists to build a model. Your job is not really about the model. Your job will be about the data part, because we just understood how important the data stage is. So we have companies who make sure that we have people dedicated to this stage. These people find the data, they build pipelines, and store the data in databases, data warehouses, and data lakes. Please type those three in the chat: databases, data warehouses, and data lakes. If you've not taken the cloud computing lesson, you may not understand the differences between databases, data warehouses, and data lakes. But if you've taken her cloud computing course, you definitely understand this. As a data professional, you also need cloud knowledge. You need to have this knowledge. And I'm happy that Timothy, Bernardine, and most of you here, Luis, you've taken and you are certified cloud practitioners. I'm so happy. As we continue to learn, you see how all these skills will come together to make you so useful to Africa. Because of you, Africa's GDP will grow. Because of you, Africa will be better. Let's spend the time paying the price now. Let's spend the time learning now. And because we are doing that, we will have a better future. Education and what we are doing right now is a solution to Africa's problems. So to address Africa's problems, let's do what we are doing. Data engineers build pipelines and systems to gather data from multiple sources and to move data efficiently, to store data in databases, data warehouses, and data lakes. Also, this stage can also be done by data scientists. They identify what data is needed to ensure its usefulness for the model. Also, data analysts are involved. They often extract data from systems and prepare it for analysis. Now, in smaller teams, a single person may handle all these roles. So depending on the team or the company or the organization you are working with, the data scientist may do this work as well, and it's part of the data science process. All right. Just that in large organizations, this work is often shared, or some part of the work is dedicated to different professionals and different specializations. So a company may have all these professionals working on this stage, or one person. But then one person should be able to handle this. You need to be able to handle this. So you have to learn this as well. As you perfect your career, you will know which aspect to master and to focus on. We have to learn a lot and be well-rounded. But you also have to understand that there are certain companies who want specialists who have specialized in certain things. There are certain companies who want specialists who are specialized in certain things. But as we are starting out, we need to build a broad knowledge base and skill sets. Final thought: the quality of your model depends on the quality of your data. So this makes the second stage very, very clear. And if you are following this lesson, I want you to write step 1 and step 2 in the chat if you are following this lesson. I want to see those who are following, those who are active, those who are not sleeping, and those who are really enjoying this. If you write it, I want to know. Don't just write step 1 and step 2. Tell me what is step 1 and tell me what is step 2. Tell me what is step 1 and what is step 2, because we are going through. Thank you, Marasi. Thank you. Wow. I like that. Thank you. So this is very, very good. And after this particular lesson next week, I want you to keep this as a framework. And with this, you'll be able to build machine learning models. Thank you, Lucretia. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Kuleko. You got it. So we are going to take one additional step, which is step 3. And after this step, we will wrap up for today and we will continue next week. I want to give you a short break and I want you to digest what we have discussed so far. Now, what I want to tell you and what I want you to think about is how important these steps are. And when you are done, you will know how important they are. So understand these steps and understand that to build a model, you need to move from step 1, which is needs identification and problem definition, and then data collection. Collecting the data to solve the problem, because the solution depends on data. The right model depends on the right data. All right. After the break, we'll look at data cleaning and then we'll wrap up. So I'll see you after the break. All right. So welcome back from the short break. Welcome back, everybody. And welcome back to this lesson. This is one of the most important lessons that you ever have about machine learning and how to learn machine learning properly. This lesson gives us a framework of a machine learning project, and we get to see the various stages that a real machine learning project needs to go through. So first, in step 1, we have seen that there is a step called need identification and problem definition. In this particular step, we need to identify the problem and we need to document the problem, and this will help us know what we are tackling. In the next step, we need to gather data or collect data, because to build a good machine learning model, it all depends on data. Not just any data, it depends on the right kind of data. So start seeing this thing technically, because this is a very, very important stage or step in the machine learning solution workflow. Now, after you have acquired the data and that step is complete, we move to step 3. And step 3 is called data pre-processing. Please type that in the chat for me. Data pre-processing. Please type that in the chat for me. Data pre-processing. Data pre-processing. And this is popularly referred to as data cleaning. And so after typing data pre-processing, please type data cleaning in the chat for me. Data cleaning in the chat for me. So type the two, data pre-processing, and also type data cleaning. This is actually one of the most important stages in building a machine learning solution. After getting the right data, we take the data through a pre-processing process, or what is called data cleaning. And this is one particular part of the process that you will be required to understand and master. Whether you end up as a data analyst, a data scientist, a data engineer, machine learning, AI engineer, you will be part of this process. So in learning about Python and Pandas, make sure you master the data cleaning part. In using Excel for data analytics, make sure you master the data cleaning part. In using SQL, make sure you understand the data cleaning part. In working with CSV data, make sure you understand the data cleaning. Because this is one of the skills and most important skills that you will need and need it badly. This is something that should be at your fingertips. This is really where the work is. This is the part that would take most of your time. If you interview practicing data analysts or machine learning engineers, they will tell you that most of the time is spent in this particular stage where the data has to be clean. Because if the data is not clean, the rest of the process will be trashed. So in as much as step 2 is very, very important, step 3 is also super important. We need to clean the data. Preparing the data for reliable machine learning. Without this step, the data and the machine learning model will not be reliable. The model will not be reliable. So this step is very important. So the third step is data cleaning, also known as data pre-processing. After collecting the data, we don't just jump into modeling. See, after collecting the right data, spending the right time, using all the techniques and experience, you see, experience is part of how you collect your data in step 2. But after getting even the right data, we don't just jump into the modeling. So first, we must make sure the data is clean, consistent, and ready. Please type those 3 adjectives in the chat for me. Clean, consistent, and ready. Clean, consistent, and ready. Let me see that in the chat. Let me see the first person to tell me these 3 adjectives. Clean, consistent, and ready. Thank you, Evelyn. Thank you, Robley, Marasi, Timothy, Oluwafemi. Thank you, Norbert. Thank you, Benedine. And thank you, Lulefo. Of course, Esimame. We must make sure the data is clean, consistent, and ready to be used by a machine learning algorithm. When the algorithm comes, it needs to be trained on clean data. The data needs to be polished. The data needs to be so clean. The data needs to be ready. You understand the data is a fuel, and if you use dirty fuel, we will have garbage out. So the data needs to be washed, and the data needs to be clean. What in the world does it mean? We'll look at that shortly. Raw data is rarely perfect. It often contains errors. Even the right data may contain errors, missing values, duplicates, or inconsistencies. If we skip this step, the model may learn from bad data and make poor predictions. GIGO comes in again. Garbage in, garbage out. Even though you have the right data, if the data is bad and dirty, the predictions will be poor. When a company hires you, either as a professional or as a business, would you want to give them a good and a functioning model? Would you want to give your clients or your employer very good models? I want to give the best models to make your business grow and for you to grow in your career. And you have to understand that this part of the process is not just a boring step or a boring page. We understand how important it is. We understand the importance of this stage. And so we don't skip it. Clean data helps improve the model accuracy and reliability. You can think of this as washing your vegetables before cooking. I don't know if you wash your vegetables before cooking. Do you? Do you? Some people say no. Okay, but this is most definitely you will wash. You will wash your vegetables. Okay. Because if you don't wash, you may eat dirty food, and it is essential for a healthy outcome. I don't like people who don't treat food with cleanliness. I like clean food and clean cooks. Some cooks are not clean. There are some places, if you go and buy food, sometimes it's better you don't see some things. It's shocking how some people are so ignorant of being clean. The way they will handle your food that they are selling to you, you yourself, if you don't take time, you will not eat it. Not just the kitchen. Sometimes even those who are selling, the way they will handle your food, to them they handle a lot of food. So the way they will handle your food alone, I don't like that. I like clean people. I like caterers who are professional. You know, sometimes you go somewhere and those serving are so professional. They are so clean. They handle the food right and they serve you well. And I'm happy with the results. Data cleaning or data pre-processing involves identifying and fixing problems in the data set so that the model can learn from it correctly. Please, you have to understand that after getting the problem, there are issues. There are issues and there may be issues with the data sets. Let me highlight this part. Let me highlight this part right now. And it says identifying and fixing problems. I need to highlight this part for you to see well. Let me share it again. So, data cleaning or data pre-processing involves identifying and fixing problems in the data set. Let me highlight it again the right way, because I want you to know that the data set that you have has issues. Although you got it from the right source, although the data set is the right one, it still has issues. And this is where professionals spend time to understand the importance of this particular step, identifying and fixing problems in the data set. Because the data set has these problems, and if you don't fix them, the model will learn from dirty data. So that the model can learn from it correctly. So that the model can learn from it correctly. Thank you, Neoma. All right. All right. So before we list the common data cleaning tasks, those of you with some level of experience, I want you to tell us some of the problems that exist in data sets. We have completed the stage of gathering or collecting the data, but what are some of the problems? Who can mention some of the problems we have in data sets? Why do we need to do cleaning? Robley says missing values, duplicate. Thank you, Robley. Esmami says missing values. Thank you. Olafemi, missing values. Nkuletu, inconsistencies. Thank you. Bernadine, duplicates and missing values. Duplicate, missing values. Mistype numbers. Outliers. Thank you. Wrong format. Thank you. Okay. So some of the common data cleaning tasks is called handling missing values. This is very, very important because the data may have missing value. If the data set, for example, when you picture an Excel spreadsheet, we are taking typos. Thank you, typos. Curable with typos. You see, there may be typing mistakes. You can see how a typing mistake can affect your model. Let's say there are 9 columns for the data sets, and some data items have empty cells, and they didn't fill some of the 9 columns. They filled only 7. These are called missing values. We need to have them. If not, the data will not be complete. The training will not be, the model prediction will not be accurate because we missed certain important part of the data. And so the model learned from an empty set or an empty cell. It shouldn't be. So handling missing values. So this is one part that we will take the time and we want you to develop interest in when we are using Pandas or Excel or any tool to learn how to clean data. This is a major part of your career and your profession that you need to master. Removing duplicates. Let's say one customer has been recorded twice. Is it possible that in a data set about sales, a customer can appear twice? Is it possible? Let's say we are recording data about our customers and one customer appeared twice. That is going to affect the performance of our model. Our model is going to learn from the same person 2 times. No, we don't want that. We want unique rows. We want unique items. We want unique data items so that we can learn well and know how it is with different customers. So we have to remove duplicates. Correcting inconsistent data. For example, telephone numbers are supposed to be written in a certain format. Do we have different formats for telephone numbers? Do we have different formats for writing telephone numbers? Now, in the data collection system, somebody use one format, another person use another format. You know, they ask customers to fill a form on a website, and you know, you don't control how people type. It's amazing. If you handle a database, it's amazing how people fill application forms and the way people write. Some people, even applying to Reach Africa, they didn't choose their program. How can you apply and you didn't even choose a program? Now, sometimes these inconsistencies can be sent to the developers for them to apply something called data validation. Please type data validation in the chat. So with this data validation in place, we can actually restrict the input. This means when they are filling the form, if they type their email in the wrong format, we will tell them that no, this is not the right format. Type your email like this. If you type your telephone number in this format, we will write code to bring you a pop-up that says no, type the telephone number in this way. All right. So with time, if you are building a pipeline, you can work with the dev team and let the dev team also make sure that we reduce these common issues. For example, we can restrict the form and say that if you don't fill in all the fields, we are not going to allow you to submit. It is because we want to avoid missing values. Sometimes when you apply, they'll tell you that you've already applied. Have you seen anything like that before? This will help remove duplicates. All right. Inconsistencies, we need to use the same format. When it comes to dates, someone will write date in a different format, someone will write date in another format. And so we can use data validation to ensure that date is entered in a single format so that there is consistency. Converting data types. We need to use a uniform data types. When you have to enter a number, an integer, you enter. If you have to enter string, you enter. But one column is having integers and strings. and different data items are having different data types. We need to correct all those things. We need to correct them, because if we don't correct them, the model will learn the wrong things. Scaling and normalizing the data. We need to make sure that the data is scalable. We need to make sure that the entire data set is normalized for the process. And we'll go into this later on. Also, we have what is called encoding categorical data. In our previous lesson, when we built the logistic regression model, which we are yet to record for the video, we realized that cats and dogs, we were able to convert them into numerical values. I don't know if anybody remembers how we did a mapping of cats and dogs. And we told the data sets that when you see cats, put a number there. When you see dog, put a different number there. All right. So if you remember, tell me how we did the mapping, or what mapping values we use as integers. So all these things are part of the tags. And when you do all of these and you make sure you check the data, and the data is done right, and the data is clean and it's ready, then you can now move on to the next step. Now, who handles data cleaning? Data scientists. They prepare the data. Thank you, Rob Lee. Thank you so much. They prepare data for modeling and know which cleaning techniques matter the most. Data analysts clean and organize data for reports and further analysis. And machine learning engineers in production systems ensure incoming data is pre-processed automatically. So you see this data cleaning process, it can be reduced and it can be done automatically. So we build systems to make sure that all these things are done. Why is this step critical? Because good pre-processing is equal to better accuracy, less bias, and more meaningful results. Sometimes there could be bias in the model, because the data that you use to train the model, the data was biased. So this is something that we will look at. All right. So data cleaning is something we will take and we will seriously learn. We will seriously learn. So we'll address typos, we'll address all of these issues very, very well, and how to deal with them. This is a major part of our training. Who can give me a scenario where the data collected could be biased? Maybe the data was collected from just one group of people, and so the data is not thinking generally. Okay, you know, there are some people, they've never been hungry before. So if you interview only those kinds of people about economic issues, you think your data will be accurate. The data, maybe everything is done right, but what you don't know is that the data is biased. The data is biased because these people you interviewed, they have never been hungry before. So you can't use their judgments, the way they think. They can't even think right. The way they think will not give you solution, because you want to fix a country. You see, data analytics and machine learning can solve economic problems for countries. And so, yes, we don't want biased data. Thank you, Norbert. So the good data, good pre-processing, we check all of these things before we go ahead to the next step. Wow, you can see that our model will really be good. I can't wait to see how good this model will be. Even the best model will fail if the data is dirty, it's misleading, it's biased, or inconsistent. So you can see why this step is crucial or critical. And of course, garbage in is equal to garbage out. Are you enjoying this class? Let me know in the chat if you're enjoying this class. All right. Someone said yes, I'm enjoying the class. Data cleaning transforms messy, raw data into clean data, reliable for machine learning models. It ensures that what the model learns is accurate, it is fair and useful, and can solve real problems for companies. This is where we end the class for today. And thank you so much for joining. I hope it has been useful to you and you've gotten value for your time. Next week, we will continue and we will wrap up the processes of building a machine learning model. And as a matter of fact, we will build a model following these processes. So thank you all so much for joining. I'll see you in the next class.